Calling all instructional coaches, curriculum specialists, teachers on special assignment, or whatever they call you. I'm Matteo Souza.
And I'm Katie Ritter. As instructional coaches, we are often responsible for our own professional learning and can sometimes feel pretty isolated in our role.
That's why we're here, bridging the gap with a wealth of tips, tricks, and building a community of coaches.
So hit the restart button with us.
Recharge your coaching batteries.
And hopefully you'll leave feeling just a little bit less on your own coaching island.
Welcome back to the Restart Recharge podcast, where we're dedicated to bringing you insights and inspiration to invigorate your educational practice. Welcome back. Today we're thrilled to have a dynamic coaching team duo with us from career campuses, Ben and Katie. They work as a team of instructional design coaches, bringing a wealth of experience and passion to their roles. So first, let's introduce Ben. He's an instructional design coach with Forward Edge. He has spent the last 6 years in various school settings as both an ELA instructor, a K-8 tech instructor, and he's deeply committed to making learning accessible for all types of learners. When he's not empowering educators, you might find Ben and his wife at Renaissance festivals across the U.S. or enjoying hikes, the great outdoors, and traveling from their home base in Loveland, Ohio. So we welcome Ben, and we also have Katie Mack. We like to call her Katie Mack in the office, an instructional design coach based in Cincinnati. Katie focuses on boosting student learning and engagement through effective technology integration. With a background in high school English and journalism, she's passionate about working with teachers to build student independence, increase collaboration, and bring more movement into the classroom. Outside of her coaching role, Katie enjoys listening to pop culture podcasts and spending quality time with her family. It's so cool because they're actually a team. So we're excited to hear their insights on coaching and teacher support. So welcome to the Restart Recharge podcast. Guys, how are we feeling today?
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for having us. You know, Katie, I've worked with you for a while now that I've called you Katie Mack for so long. I actually don't even know how to say your last name at this point.
Can you, for the one time, give it to us? Because I have no clue either.
Makalevich.
Makalevich. I feel like if someone were to come up to me like, oh yeah, it's Katie Mack. It's Katie Mack.
Katie Mack makes sense to me.
It does.
Like, it's like a whole persona. Right there.
It's one word.
It is
Katie
one
Mack.
word person.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm super excited to have you all here because I know you all do a lot of fun work on your campus. So introduce yourselves and like where you specifically work in your role at your district. Kind of give us some insight on where you're at in your building.
Sure. Yeah, I'll get started here. So this was my first year as a coach, and I was at two different schools. One a little bit close to the Cincinnati area, one a bit further out. Within both of those schools, I was there 2 days a week. I would kind of just divvy off between the two. Definitely some different cultural backgrounds in terms of the demographics that are there. And that also kind of plays a big role into the career opportunities that are available for students that live there. So it was definitely a wonderful challenge this year and a very cool opportunity to have kind of that large base of students from different populations.
Nice.
And I have the benefit of this year I was at only one building. So our district is kind of interesting because it is a career tech district. And there are 4 buildings that are all under the same umbrella. We do have one other coach who's a part of our team who's just not with us today. And she and I are each at one building 4 days a week. And then Ben was splitting the other 2. The campus that I have been at is kind of I like to call it the district show pony. It's on the same campus as the district offices. So because people from the higher levels in the district are in the building kind of more frequently, the campus that I'm at is often kind of the pilot for some things and the kind of more experimental with some things. So being there 4 days a week was really helpful in being able to support them as they onboarded a lot of new teachers this year and then tried some new things for the first time.
Awesome. I love that. So I guess my next question would be thinking about the focus point of career campuses, because even if you all could define like what that looks like student interaction to teacher interaction, like what is your way to support teachers and students in an environment such as that?
It is definitely a unique environment. So the way that our schools work is that students are there all day. They get their academics. They have basically the 4 core academics subjects, and then half the day is spent in their what they call their lab, so their career tech program. And so you have to not only be familiar to a certain extent with those academics, which most educators would at least have some foundational knowledge of science, English, social studies, math, but then there's this huge variety of career programs. Like the building that I'm in has, cosmetology and early childhood and culinary. And then there's things like welding, these really like heavy duty kinds of things. So you kind of, to a certain extent, don't have to worry too much about the content. It's really more about focusing on teaching skills and pedagogy or pedagogy, depending on how you want to say it. But just figuring out like what is the teacher's need, the teacher's challenge, what do they want to try or change, and focusing on those things, because I'm never going to be able to teach someone how to weld.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested to know. I can only imagine for me, for cosmetology, I would just go in there just to see, because I love makeup and things like that. But, like supporting that specific teacher in that way. So that's very interesting. How about you, Ben? Are there any specific things that you've done recently to support a teacher or a course in a way that was effective? Yeah, I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, so something that's very fascinating about being with career tech students is that you still have, they're just a kid, right? They're going to make silly decisions, but they also are trying to figure out what they want to do for the rest of their life, and that's why they're there. It's a very interesting dynamic where, especially whenever you have these career tech instructors, this is going to probably be a big theme of our conversation today, is that these instructors know things that we could never hope to know. But then at the same time, they've never been in a classroom, so they have to kind of live this double dynamic. So I think with a lot of the things that we do for them, some of it is like, hey, that first class you took in college for education. So how do you have classroom procedures? How do you establish classroom management? So there's those pieces for sure. But then also when it comes to the learning objectives, your solutions are a lot different. For example, for a lot of academics, you want to make sure they understand the content. Well, for these kids, they want to have a job by the end of it. So an example that I can give is for the culinary kids this year, we actually built websites for them, and they actually created business pitches for themselves. And at the end, they all had a QR code business card, and they had a showcase where people from industry around the entire area came in to see them. So they had job opportunities after that. But kind of with some of those examples, you start to just realize that the objectives are different. Right, so that changes our approach.
Yeah, I can imagine maybe I'm wrong in my head. I feel like you all might be super busy in that space. Is there always something to do?
You know what? I would say yes. I would just say that when you listen to a lot of episodes of what we do here, Restart Recharge, or some other instructional coach pieces, it's different. It's different, but it's not. There's still those practices of building relationships. I actually would argue that relationship building is even more vital at career tech than maybe some other schools, even though it is a pillar of what we do. But I think, like I said, it really is a yes or no in terms of how we approach it. I think some of those foundational pieces still exist because at the end of the day, we're trying to get our kids from point A to point B.
Yeah. Are there any unique ways that you go about relationship building? Because I could assume that the teachers are really hands-on with a lot of the stuff. So is there anything that you personally did that was different or that you tried that was unique in your way of relationship building with the teachers?
Yeah, something that I found to be helpful was, there's the basics of getting started, especially just like answering some one-off questions and fixing like one small thing to show that you do know what you're doing and you can be helpful. But then this year, toward the end of the year, I offered what I was calling like customer service workshops. I used Magic Student to create some individual chatbots that were all customers for whatever their program was. So I did HVAC, I did cosmetology, I did law enforcement. And so they each had different scenarios. But it was a way for students to be able to practice talking to real people they may encounter and real scenarios they may encounter in the field. And what really kind of sold it was not only I was offering a valuable experience for their students, but I offered to come in and be like, I'll teach your class for a half hour. Yeah. Because these lab instructors have those students for 2.5 hours every single day. And that's a lot of time, especially at the end of the school year, to fill. So the teachers got to experience a valuable tool that the district has a paid subscription to, so they can use it every day if they want. They got to see a new way to build some scenarios. And I had so many teachers afterward just say, like, I need to know how to use that platform. So it served multiple purposes. And it really showed some value. And I got to be in the classroom and they got to see my personality. And I had a couple of them reach out to me afterward who were people I never really worked with much before.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that. I almost had, especially at the beginning, a dynamic where if I showed them anything, they were going to show me something. I've welded this year. That was terrifying. I did car detailing. I was humbled very quickly. If you're looking at this from a video, I did not help cosmetology at all. Didn't really have the canvas to work with that. But, in a lot of different ways, I really wanted them to understand, yes, I'm your instructional coach. I'm here to help you. But by golly, you guys know things that I just don't. And I really wanted to embrace that a lot. I think that it was a huge piece for relationship building was those that I really took the time to say, yeah, show me how this works. I wasn't faking my excitement because I was just genuinely excited about all these really cool things. But I think for them, being able to really see somebody light up about the things they did allowed them to really light up for the opportunities and the ways that we showed them to improve their practice.
I love that. In my head, I would love to, as a coach, just jump into all the different things that the teachers are doing. So the fact that both of you are putting yourselves out there to try things with the teachers, I feel like that's super impactful. They're so lucky. Now I need to come visit because I need to see about that car detailing situation.
I mean, listen, I've gone in there with an issue with my brakes before, had the students look at it. One other thing is, as people in the office know, I love my dog dearly. They have an animal science program where it's a doggy daycare, so I get to bring my dog into work. But again, too, like in some ways, I'm like, yes, I get to bring my dogs. That's beneficial for me. But I talk to that animal science teacher every day when I was there. Talk about relationship building right there. And it's just because, once again, they have just such a cool niche that they're teaching people.
Yes, that's so awesome. There's so many things. So I will be there tomorrow. I guess it's the summer. So technically whenever someone sees this, I will be on the campus very soon for all the things, especially cosmetology.
It's a good one.
Well, this has been great information. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break and we'll be back in a second.
Calling all educational coaches, data coaches, tech coaches, literacy, math, instructional coaches, whatever they call you. Join Forward Edge for Coaches Camp in summer of 2025. Coaches Camp is packed with high-quality professional development exclusively for you. Attendees will work with like-minded coaches on creating strategies for building teacher relationships, executing coaching cycles, and building a culture of coaching and tech integration within their school district. There are 2 opportunities to attend Coaches Camp in the summer of 2025. You can either join us virtually, July 22nd through 24th, or come to Cincinnati on July 28th and 29th. Please visit forward-edge.net/coachcamp to reserve your spot today.
Okay, we're back with the Restart Recharge podcast with Katie Mack and Ben. So we wanted to dive into something really cool that you all were doing with professional development at your district called Learnapalooza. Would love to hear more about that.
So it's Learnapalooza, like Lollapalooza. So it was all music themed. And this is something, as a concept, this is something that this district has done for a long time, where like the week right after school gets out, they have kind of a conference style professional development. So there are a couple of different concurrent sessions running at all times throughout the day. And so teachers have some choices for what they want to learn about. And last year, for the first time, we took it and gave it this theme. So that was the first time it became a Learnapalooza. And we made every session was some kind of pun on an artist or a song title. We had Panic in the Classroom as like a classroom management session. I had one that was called the AI Safety Dance. That was kind of like getting started with AI and making sure that you're like protecting yourself and your students and learning some good AI skills. Lots of silliness. And I think to a certain extent, it was that silliness that got a lot of buy-in from the teachers and from the participants, because it gave us, as the people organizing it, we worked really closely with the district level teaching and learning team to plan it initially, but it gave us room to do some more fun, silly things like playing Singo at lunchtime. So all that is Name That Tune Bingo. No one was expected to like sing. It wasn't karaoke, but it got a lot of buy-in and got honestly the most participants they'd ever had and the highest satisfaction ratings they'd ever had for last summer. This summer we just did it, so we'll see what the outcome was. But I'm sure Ben has some more to add since he actually came in after we had initially done the first one.
Yeah, so I had done we do one in August and in May. I will be the first to say it seems like the energy in May is a little bit higher. I don't know why, it just maybe there's something to that. But I think really my aha for the Learnapalooza as it was is I absolutely love doing PD for career tech instructors. I mean, you want to talk about people who have a growth mindset and a lifelong learner mindset, it's them. I mean, they already left their industry. More likely than not, most of them have taken a pay cut because a lot of them were very high-level professionals in their industry. So there's a lot of love that comes into the things that they're doing. And like Katie Mack said, like they buy into the nonsense. I mean, gosh, I feel like after we made all the sessions, we spent a whole day just writing puns, which was the best day out of all the days. But you know, it's something where I think what's really cool about this opportunity being at a career tech school is you can lean into silly because there's so many of these people that can laugh. I think we're very fortunate that there's just a lot of people at the career tech school that have that ability to not take themselves so seriously, but take the right things seriously.
Nice. Love it. In addition to that, I love that you all are also able to work on the team with all these different initiatives for the campus itself. And just to close out the episode, would love to get maybe a couple skills or tips that other teaching or instructional teams would benefit from. What are some things that you all learned about when it comes to working on a team?
I definitely think it's really embracing the co-teaching model. I've been fortunate enough to co-teach in a couple of classrooms that I was in, and I think one thing that Katie Mack, Lisa, and I do very well is we're very good at looking at the outcome, what we are really trying to achieve with a lot of the things that we are aiming for, and really kind of breaking it from there, like, okay, well, what's the timeline? Who are the people involved, right? Now we're starting to add some of those instructional coach pieces rather than what you would do if you were just running your own classroom. But I think that co-teaching model of really understanding what our learning objectives are and what our outcomes are, and then at that point, we're just feeding into our strengths and weaknesses of one another. I definitely think that has been a really good formula for us, and I would imagine that'd be a great formula for many others on a team.
Yeah, I was going to say that's some of the main benefits of being on a team are that we all have different strengths and ways that we approach things. So we don't have to do it on our own. We can run it by each other. And while all of our buildings, the 4 different buildings, really each do have their own kind of distinct personality and culture, we still have an understanding of what the district and the schools are to know if something is going to work or needs to be tweaked. So just leaning on each other in that way and not, you know, even though we are at our own buildings and not in the same space, we can still work together. And another great thing is because people in these buildings do know each other and interact periodically, we've been able to use that to our advantage to gamify some of the things that we do. Like for March, we did a Tech Madness competition, which was overall kind of a passive PD where we we created a resource and was like, here's some links, here's some things to try, submit the work that you do and the things that you learn. But we made it, we gave everything points and made it a competition between not only the buildings, but administrators and district, and gave prizes for like the top point earner for each building, as well as the top academic instructor point earner and the top career tech point earner. So we were really able to use the fact that we are in the same district but in different buildings to our advantage to get people involved, because just making something a competition sometimes will get more people.
Absolutely, for sure. So just, even though you all aren't in the same space every single day, you're meeting consistently, you're communicating on all the initiatives that are taking place. And it's almost like, in my head, I'm like envisioning a basketball game, like you all are running a play, like throughout the entire school year.
Yeah.
Someone's dunking the ball at the end. It's probably Ben.
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely me. It's only me. But I definitely think the other really big piece of that, and I would really recommend this to anybody in a team, is to really know your why. And that has to do with those meetups. And by your why, in a lot of cases, it's the district's why. The district has a lot of initiatives that they look for, especially at career tech. There's so many credentials and certifications that the kids have to earn, a lot of things for graduation. There's no such thing as really making this work if you have multiple different boats driving into each other, right? Like, are we all steering in the right direction? And I definitely think as we are having these conversations, we definitely try to remind ourselves consistently, yes, we're doing different things at our buildings, but we across the board have a very good understanding of this is what we have to do because this is the why of the district.
Absolutely.
That just gave me a mental image of like me out there in a rowboat just rowing in circles. Well, like you and Lisa are.
It's nice that you have a rowboat. I just have a life jacket, so that's great.
Just floating and flailing.
Everyone has something different, strengths and weaknesses here. Meanwhile, I'm on a island in an all-inclusive resort because I do not like large bodies of water. So I will be watching from afar. We'll
Hey guys.
Love it. Well, thank you all so much. Is there anything else, like anything fun that you all have coming up outside of, because we're in that season where it's summer, we're not in the buildings, but is there anything exciting that you have planned just to rejuvenate or get yourself back into a flow before you prep for the next school year?
Sure, yeah. I'm as mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I am a nerd. I'm not afraid to admit it. And one thing that I do is I travel around the country making Renaissance Fair games for people. We call them immersive quests. So I do have a couple of Renaissance fairs during this summer on top of doing some awesome things with Forward Edge. So it's going to be a busy summer, but a very good rejuvenating summer.
Love it.
And my answer is like all like EDU coach network stuff. It feels like shameless plug.
Plug it in.
We have our book club that's starting next week that anyone can join at any time. There's information on our social media and our website, maybe not our website. And it's a message if you want to know more. But I'm excited about that. It's kind of a good mix of you're reading a book, which I love, and also getting to then have some community and talk about it. And just working on continuing to put together good resources and information for the Coach Network blog and newsletter and social media and all of that. And then I'm excited to travel to San Antonio for ISTE with our team and learn all kinds of new stuff about tech in education.
Well, I didn't know shameless plugging was allowed, so I guess if we're gonna do that, if you think this podcast is really well edited, just clean, has good detail, just know that there's a very attention to detail oriented gentleman in the back making that happen. And it's easy though when you got a star like Celine just making the dream work with the Restart Recharge podcast. So yeah, give us a follow, give us a listen.
Yes, please do. Ben works so hard on the back end. He's going to be editing his own episode. So this is awesome.
It'll be quite the experience. Yep.
Yes. And big claps to Katie Mack because she works so hard on everything. So yes, please make sure you follow all the things.
Yes.
We're plugging ourselves here, like in this episode heavy. Where can they find you on socials and things like that, especially with been your renaissance, where can they find all your stuff?
Oh, geez. Well, biggest on LinkedIn. So that's going to be at Ben Glazier, BenGlasure. Our Renaissance Fair business is called Roll Your Destiny, like rolling dice. So if you ever want to check that out, there's definitely some people in there that build escape room type things. And we actually have people who have built escape rooms for classrooms as well. So there is some pedagogical things that can be added to your tool belt, if you will. So yeah, you can give us a follow either way.
Nice. Katie Mack.
You can find me. I'm on Twitter at KatieMacTeach, and the EDU Coach Network on pretty much all the platforms as EDU Coach Network. We're on X, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, although not as active on Blue Sky yet, but we're working on it. But we're there.
Perfect. Yes, please follow all the things. I thank both of you so much for your time today, and thank you all for watching the Restart Recharge podcast. Make sure you give us a follow, and we'll see you in the next episode. Talk to you later.
Thanks for spending time with us today. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with an educator friend.
And connect with us on social media at RRCoachCast to let us know what you thought of the episode and what topics you want us to discuss next.
New episodes drop every other Tuesday. Be sure to subscribe to Restart Recharge wherever you listen to podcasts.
So press the restart button.
Recharge your coaching batteries and leave feeling equipped and inspired to coach fearlessly with the Restart Recharge podcast.
A Tech Coach Collective.